Hello everybody, good afternoon. I bet it looks like I'm hanging in a tree. But I'm not. We're here in the northeast corner of South Africa, the Kruger National Park, and I am standing in a Land Rover next to a tree in a beautiful dry riverbed called the Umlulwati. Say that after you've just got out of bed. I haven't just got out of bed because it is a very balmy afternoon here, 3 o'clock in the afternoon to be exact. No, it's not, it's 3:30 in the afternoon, 34 degrees Celsius, 96 degrees Fahrenheit. It's supposed to be autumn. It feels like summer. My name is James Henry. Brian is on camera.
Hello.
Has to put up with me for the next 3 hours, and of course with all of you, as do I. A joy to be with you, and we're going to also tell you about the other drive today, and that is Samuel Chevalier. He is being driven about. No, he's actually doing the driving, isn't he, today? He's being filmed by the inimitable Wim Durenbrach, who will be, no doubt, have a picnic with him. And in the final control, we have got Kirsten McLennan-Smith talking to our ears and tapping away at the keys. We have got Louise Pavid. Now, we are going to be joined very shortly by Mrs. Creed's class of... no, that's not right at all. It's Mrs. Harden's class of Creed's Elementary School in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And they're going to be chatting to us. They're 8 and 9 years old. They're going to be taking their first safari, so that's very exciting for them. For the rest of you, please do talk to us. We've had such enlightening and wonderful conversations the other day. My highlight of yesterday, of course, was we were asked if we have bears here in Africa. I said we didn't, and I didn't think that we ever had. And then somebody sent through a wonderful email about something called an Atlas bear, which is now an extinct species of bear that used to occur in northern Africa, north of the Sahara. So that kind of thing from all of you, loyal viewers and new viewers, just really does make this job the best possible job in the world. So thank you for joining us. Send us your questions, hashtag Safari Live, or questions at wildearth.tv if you're on the email. We've come into the drainage line here. Let me get out from underneath this, this stick. See, I'm not really in a tree. Our point for coming down here was to see if we can find Karula's cubs and Karula. We tracked her in here this morning. We're not going to spend a huge amount of time doing the actual tracking because obviously she will probably be off the road in the block, but we're going to have a squiz around and see if she hasn't come out with the cubs, or maybe she's gone and come back. We'll just have a look and see what happens. If we do find the little ones without her, of course, then we probably won't view them because they need the safety of her without the distraction of us, if you know what I mean. So that's the plan for the afternoon. You're most welcome. Lovely to have you along on this balmy autumnal afternoon. Let's go and see what we can find. Ready, Brian?
Yeah, almost.
Right? Ready? Ready? Oh, good. Yes, here we go. Here we go. Now, of course, as we go into autumn, so the weather will change, but so will all the trees, and most of them will lose their leaves. But some, like this jackalberry tree under which we are going now, is what we call semi-deciduous. Now, as we slowly drive underneath it, you can see some of the tree is verdant green. The rest of it looks like it's a bit sort of shriveled. And that's because it loses its leaves intermittently throughout the year, which is a remarkable sort of strategy. So it's because of this area is never actually cold enough for trees to have to be dormant. So it's not like in the northern hemisphere where, for example, the boreal forests, which form a loop of forest all the way around the northern section of the planet. All of those trees have to lose their leaves because they can't grow, and many of your pine trees do the same thing. They cannot grow when it's so cold. But it never gets that cold here. So if you can be what we call a semi-deciduous tree, it means that you can keep growing throughout the winter time. Yes, you slow down a bit because there's not a huge amount of water, but you can keep growing. So lots of the trees here are what we call semi-deciduous. And that means that they lose their leaves sort of intermittently throughout the year. Oh, the school is with us. Hello, Mrs. Harden, and all of your 8 to 9-year-olds at Creed's Elementary School, Virginia Beach, Virginia. It's good to have you along. You're on a live safari, kiddies, and it's wonderful to have you with us. I'd love to know if any of you have been to Africa before, but if you haven't and this is your first trip through Africa, try and find Africa on a map if you can. I'm sure Mrs. Harden will show you. We're a long way from where you are, but you're talking to us from the afternoon here It's the morning where you are, and you're most welcome. Please send us any questions you have about Africa or South Africa or any of the animals that we will hopefully see. We're going to drive down through here and hopefully see a leopard if we're very lucky. A leopard, of course, is one of our most special cats. A big cat, like an enormous sized dog with golden fur and black spots. I guess about the same size as a cougar or a mountain lion that you get over there in the United States. Now, we need to keep our eyes very open from about here. We had their tracks going into this area this morning, and we're going to see if we can't spot them. What you need to look for, everybody, is spots underneath the shade here. Remember, many of the animals out here are very well camouflaged. They like to hide from things because obviously we have lots of predators, lions and leopards and hyenas and wild dogs and cheetahs and jackals and African wildcats. And so lots of animals have to hide. They have to be camouflaged in order to escape being eaten by predators. And leopards, of course, we know love these kind of dry stream areas. And they love the dry streams because, as Brian was showing you there, Brian is on camera, by the way, and my name is James, we have got these areas where there are thick trees and lots of shade, which makes a good place for leopards to hide. And this particular leopard that we're looking for has got 2 little babies, and they're only about 3 months old, or about to be 3 months old at the beginning of next month. So it would be very special if we were able to find them in here, wouldn't it? The other animals we might see down here are some of the more common antelope, like a nyala. I'm just going to quickly talk on the radio. No update so far. Now the radio, of course, very important. We talk to lots of other vehicles around this area. I can't see anything here. Alrighty. So the other things we might be able to see down here would be some of the antelope species, maybe an impala, which is the most common one, or a nyala, which likes to live in thick bush, or a kudu, which also quite likes to live in thick bush. And hopefully during the course of this little drive, we'll be able to show you some of those things. But what you must remember, everybody, is that we don't know what's going to be around the next corner. It's like an enormous sort of mystery, an enormous adventure every time we drive out here. It's not like a zoo. There are no animals sort of in places where we know that they're going to be, so we have to find them every time we come out here. And that makes it very exciting because around the corner there could be absolutely anything. Sometimes nothing, sometimes lots of interesting things. Now, very luckily, we've got Sam out on the other vehicle, and he's found something very interesting to show you.
Good afternoon, Creed Elementary and Mrs. Harden. We are sitting here with a community nest spider. Look at the size of this nest. Good afternoon, Paul. If you have a look at this nest, you can see there's a lot of leaves that are stuck in there, so it's inactive mound. You'll often find a number of spiders within this nest. It's incredible to see the amount of spiders that will come here. And a number of little insects, from butterflies to praying mantises, will fly into that and will be caught by the community nest spider. So, children, let's go on a drive. Let's see what we can find. Let me know what you would like to see this afternoon, if it's a zebra, a cheetah, whatever it is, and we can talk about these lovely subjects. We've got our little elephant over here. He's going to try and give us some luck to see if we can find an elephant out on the plains this afternoon. Jack is asking, does it ever get cold enough so that the animals have to hibernate? Yes, Jack, it does get cold enough for animals to hibernate. You'll see in about a month's time, all of this savanna will turn orange and red and turn into autumn, and then it's very, very cold. The mornings start to be freezing, and the little animals, from frogs to snakes, will go out and find burrows to nest for the cold months. The winter months here in southern Africa are not the wet season, it is the dry season. So you'll see there'll be a lot of dust and there'll be few animals, and all the animals will be competing for the watering holes. Have you guys got lots of spiders where you are? I'd love to know what sort of spiders you get there. Do you have any social spiders? That means a lot of spiders that live together in one nest, because that is the spider's nest that we just saw. So there was a leopard that was walking here earlier this morning. Who wants to see a leopard? Because I know myself and VM, who are on camera, wants to see one. Dana would like to know, what do leopards eat? Well, Dana, we'll see if we can find some of their prey now. They like to eat anything from a little duiker, which is a small antelope, to an impala, to a kudu, a young kudu, because kudus are one of the antelopes that get really, really big out here in the bush. Also get a nyala, and these antelope vary from being quite secretive, so as we go slowly through the bush here, we'll see something like a kudu or an nyala. But then you get the species that like the open areas, which is the impala, and those are some of them. Ooh, just saw a bird that flew past, went too quickly for us to catch and see. Oh, there's an impala. There we go. Our first antelope, everyone. It's an impala, so it's a big male impala. You can tell that by the horns, that it's a male, and it's solitary, so it's on its own. So it might be seeking a harem of females, which means it will go and look for a group of females that it'll then look after and try and mate with. It's that time of year, it's called the rutting season, where males compete with one another to then have a number of females. So that is one of the species that a leopard would like to prey on. There we go, you can see a beautiful shot of that impala now. Have a look at those horns. So these antelope are our most common out here, and for most of the leopards and the lions that are here will eat impala quite consistently within their diets. They're a very, very successful antelope. James, my co-pilot, has got some buffalo. Let's go and see how he's doing over there.
There are some buffalo indeed, everybody. And these, of course, are not the same as the buffalo that you guys get in the United States. They are called the African or Cape buffalo. You get the big bison, but they're about the same size, a little bit smaller, but they're also a bit nastier. So we keep our distance from them. And these are old buffalo bulls. And I always say when we're chatting to youngsters like you that these buffalo bulls are something to be jealous of course, because they get to play in the mud all day long. It's the best kind of mud, this African mud. And they don't have to go and have a bath afterwards. No one tells them they have to come inside and have a clean up. So it's just a really nice life for an old buffalo bull. And you can see they're sitting very peacefully. They like to be in the mud because it's cool. It's a hot day, like I said, about 93 degrees Fahrenheit, so quite cold, quite hot, and the buffalo will stay cool by lying in the mud. And also between those two old bulls, you can see a very special bird. And that special bird is called a hammerkop, or hammerhead. And you can see his head looks like it's a hammer, and what he's doing, he looks like, there are two of them. They look like they're standing very still. What they're doing is waiting patiently for frogs. They like to eat frogs. They'll also eat fish, but frogs as well, and they'll be around with the buffalo because, of course, the buffalo move every so often, and that means the fish and the frogs that are on the bottom of this little pond will come up to the surface, and then the hammerkop will grab them and eat them. Let's see if they catch something quickly. They've also got very sensitive feet. They're able to move very carefully in the water, and if they kick a fish or they kick a frog by mistake, then their beaks will shoot very quickly down into the water and grab it. You can see how everything out here, or many of the things out here, are shades of black and brown if they're animals, and beautiful greens, obviously, if they're trees. But you can see that the water is brown, because it's dirty with mud, and the hammerkops are brown because it makes it difficult for their predators to see them. They camouflage from their predators, which would be other big birds, like some of the eagles we get here. And speaking of camouflage, Brian, can you see just in front of us there we have some very cleverly colored animals. You can't even see them now, but they are in your shot. As Brian zooms in, you'll see them coming into shot. And those are called waterbuck. And that is a waterbuck cow. It's a female waterbuck. And she's standing in the shade. She doesn't lie in the water like the buffalo to stay cool, so she will stand in the shade. And what do you think she's eating, everyone? You'll see that she's going to swallow now. Watch her swallow. Not quite. See if she swallows. She's not grazing. Oh, she's just chewing. It's like she's got gum in her mouth, isn't it? Let's keep watching her while Michael's question comes through. There, watch her swallow. Now watch. Did you see that, everybody? What she did was, and this is going to sound very disgusting to you, it's going to sound horrible because she actually vomited back up into her mouth. Now, all of the animals, or many of the herbivores out here, the buffalo, the wildebeest, the nyala, the kudu, the impala, the waterbuck, they all are cud chewers. And I'm sure you've heard of the term chewing the cud before, because all of the cows that you get in the United States and the buffalo also chew the cud. And that means that they graze all the grass that they want to eat, then they must wait and sit in the shade like this waterbuck is doing, and they must regurgitate, that's the better word than vomit, regurgitate the food back into the mouth and chew it again before swallowing it. And that helps them to get all the nutrients that they want out of the food. Michael, you want to know what kind of habits or behaviors the antelope show us here. Lots and lots of different kinds of behaviors, of course, and it depends on the antelope, really. So that's one of the antelope, and their behavior is their most characteristic behavior is to run into water when they are threatened by lions or leopards or other predators like that. And that's why they're called waterbuck. Then you get the impala, and their most obvious behavior, Michael, is to make a big herd. And that herd, that big group, is able to see any predators that are coming to get them. So lots of the behaviors that the animals exhibit out here are in order to help them to not be eaten by some of the bigger predators around here. There's another bird there called a dove. And you'll get lots of different doves, I'm sure, in the United States. That particular one is called a ring-necked dove. And Will, that's a great name you've got. I've got a nephew called Will. Will, you want to know about the horns of the antelope and if that can help you to tell whether one is male or female? Absolutely it can, on most antelope. Some antelope, the females also have horns, but normally they're a different shape. They're not quite as hard, not quite as what we call robust. So they're a bit thinner and they're not used for fighting nearly as much as the male's horns are. One very good example of that is the wildebeest. The females also have horns, but in the waterbuck and in the impala that you've already seen, the females do not have horns. Now, a buffalo is not an antelope, it's a bovid, but the females do have horns, very different shape from the males. We're going to carry on going here. And Torrin, while we drive along, we might see some more buffalo around the corner. I just want to see if we can't find those leopards quickly. Torrin, you want to know if buffalo are endangered. No, they're not endangered in nothing like, say, a cheetah or a tiger is endangered, but they are, you know, just like all wild animals. They may seem like there are a lot of them, but compared with the number of people in the world, they are quite endangered. So they're not on an official list of being endangered like a tiger or a polar bear, but they certainly are not that comfortable. There are not that many of them around. There is a little baby waterbuck, look. So there's a baby and his mum, or her mum. Can't tell at this stage if that's a male baby or a female baby. And they'll just be quietly waiting to sort of go off to graze in the evening. None of the animals out here, they're a bit like us as human beings, like to be out in the middle of a hot, hot day. They like to rest in the shade, and then when it gets a bit cooler around sunrise and sunset, then they go off to graze. All right, Sam's got another wonderfully coloured bird to show you.
So we literally just had a crested barbet, which is a beautiful bird. It is fully coloured, but just as he came back, it went away. So that's bad luck. I mean, let's just see for a second if we can find it again. The best thing I can do, at least, is to show you this beautifully coloured bird. Torrin would like to know what kind of birds help the animals. That's a great question. There are some animals like the hornbill that will help a mongoose to find, well, to see predators. So when a predator is out there in the bush and it's walking through the thicket, a hornbill will stand up on a tree and alarm call at the predator, and that will tell the mongoose that there's a predator coming close, like a leopard. So a mongoose will run and jump into its hole and hide itself from the leopard. In return for this beautiful favor that the hornbill gives, what it does then is it actually looks for insects. So the mongoose will look for insects, and at the same time the hornbill will come down and feed on some of those insects. So that type of relationship is called mutualism, which is really cool. But let me show you quickly this bird that we just saw. 214 is a barbet. It's a crested barbet, and it has quite an amazing sound. Here we go, crested barbet. So we saw this one over here, the crested barbet. Very colourful on the top right there. That is our crested barbet, and it has a very monotonous call. So I've actually got an interesting device here that'll play this bird call for us, and we'll be able to hear. So that wasn't the bird call. Let me play it now. So when you are walking through the bush one day and you hear that call that goes like that, that is most often, well, it will be a crested barbet. It has one monotonous sound, and that was the beautifully coloured crested barbet. So, we've got another buck over here. It's a steenbok. Can you see the steenbok as it crawls through the thicket there? We are very lucky to be seeing this antelope. It's very small, and it's secretive. You can see that it's just hiding behind the thicket there. It's seen that we're here, so we've got to try and be quite still as we watch this little buck. And it's a male. You can see it's a male because it's got the horns there, and often they'll be in pairs. So have a look around. Maybe there's another steenbok. It's called a steenbok, and the reason why it's called a steenbok is in English means a stone buck. So it'll sit in one place, and that'll be its kind of defense thing. It'll be able to stand or sit really still and not be noticed. So that's the steenbok, everyone. A very small antelope here. It's one of our smallest antelopes that we get out in the bush. Zander wanted to know how many antelopes do we actually get here. Zander, we get quite a few. We get a small one like this called a steenbok. We get the duikers, the red duiker, the grey duiker, the common duiker, sorry. We get a kudu, we get an inyala, we get a waterbuck. There's quite a few antelope that we get out here, Zander. You saw a waterbuck with James. How cool is that? That is a very cool buck to see, as well as this one here. This is a very cool sighting, everyone. You don't often get to sit with these. Kenzie wants to know, what is the lifespan of an antelope? Kenzie, it's very determined on the ability for that antelope to look after itself in that environment, and generally, bucks can live up to 5 to 10 years. but it's all determined on different antelopes. So each antelope has a different lifespan, longevity it's called. And this is an antelope that loves to be eaten by the leopard. So if we're lucky, if we be still, maybe we could see something. It hasn't really noticed us that much. There, now it's noticed us, it's seen us. They're very, very quick, these antelopes, so hopefully we can actually watch it run. See, he's acting still, he's not moving in that position because he wants to know what we are. Have a look at those ears. Those ears will help the antelope listen for any sounds that are around here. So they will rely on not only their sight, but their hearing to locate and see different predators that are out here in the bush. You can imagine it is not easy for any animal out in the bushveld when it is being preyed upon by many different carnivores, from hyena to lions to leopards to caracal. So it has to be very aware of its environment. So wherever you are in the world, I want you to walk outside your house and try and be aware of your environment. See if you can listen to the sounds of the different birds, smell the different plants in your neighborhood. It's very cool that we got to see. Okay, so we're going to go a little bit further on and see what else we can find. Let's see what James has found for you.
We're driving a little bit faster now, everyone, because, of course, the one thing that Brian and I have found in a great abundance today and many other days this year have been, Brian?
Trees.
And?
Bushes.
Flying things?
Ants.
Flies?
Flies.
Flies. Lots of flies all over the place. They've been climbing in our ears, everybody, and climbing in our noses and mouths. They're all over the place. Anyway, we're going to slow down now and show you this very interesting, but unfortunately, recently dead tree. So have a look here. I'll get out and show it to you. It's one of our most famous trees in all of Africa. Brian, will you tell me if you lose sound of my voice? I'll put this in the top pocket. You hearing me still? Yes? Now, this special tree, everyone, is called a marula tree. And a marula tree, excuse me, a marula tree is a very clever tree because I bet you think this tree is dead, right? How do you think it fell over? Well, it fell over, everybody, because an elephant pushed it over. Now, look how big this tree is. Can you imagine how big the elephant must have been that pushed this tree over? But interestingly, it's not actually dead. It's going to keep growing from the base of the tree over here. And many of the trees out here are so clever that they are able to cope with elephants pushing them over. And that's because elephants like to eat lots of different kinds of trees, and none of the trees that, well, die if they get pushed over would survive for very long out here. And it produces a very delicious fruit in the summertime, and it's very sweet. It's one of the only really sweet fruits we get here, and the elephants love to eat the fruit. Isn't that amazing? I've seen a leopard lying in this very tree. Unfortunately, no more leopards are going to lie in the tree now because it has fallen over. So that is the marula tree. You'll find it all over the place here, all growing up on the sandy ridge crest areas, like that one. That's a big marula tree there too. And they come, interestingly, in male and female trees. Can you believe that? Just like you come in boys and girls, and human beings come in men and women. So it is with the marula tree that comes in a male tree and a female tree. And the easiest way to tell the difference is to come through here in summertime, and you find that the female tree has got little fruits. Now, KD, this is a very common question you're asking about snakes. Are there any snakes in this area? KD, there are hundreds of thousands of snakes probably, but we don't see them very often at all. Snakes, KD, are very afraid of people. And so they move away from us. They hide down in termite mounds like this. If you look at this termite mound, Katie, you can see lots of holes in it. And in those holes, maybe snakes will be living. But if they hear us coming along, they'll go back inside, and so we don't see them. You might find cobras, you might find mambas, you might find striped-bellied sand snakes, or all sorts of other kinds of snakes. But they don't like us, so they go inside. And we have a very natural fear of snakes, Katie. Everybody is afraid of snakes, but snakes are more afraid of us than we are to them. Kenzie, lovely question from you about endangered species and how many endangered species there are in the park. Well, Kenzie, the most obvious endangered species would be the African wild dog, which is like a wolf, the African wolf, but it doesn't look like a wolf. It's a sort of it's much lighter than a wolf, and it's got lovely colors, brown and black and white. That's what most obvious endangered species. Then we get rhino here sometimes, and they are obviously endangered. Black and white rhino we get. The black rhino, very highly endangered species. So those are the two most obvious ones. Then, of course, lions are threatened, you know. Although we see them quite a lot, lions are threatened. Hello, Colin. Black rhinos. You want to know how they communicate with each other. Well, Colin, in these days, they normally communicate with each other with iPhones, actually. No, they don't really. That's a joke. Not a very good one. They communicate, Colin, through grunting. They go, bleh, bleh, bleh. And they also squeal, if you can believe it. They make like a loud squealing noise, even the biggest ones. And they say it sounds like you've heard a puppy squeal, I'm sure. It sounds like a really loud puppy making a squealing noise. But the most important way that they communicate is with smell. So they leave their dung and their urine around the place, and that leaves messages for the other black rhino that says, this is my territory, or don't come here. Or if a female is ready to mate, then her urine will tell the males that she's ready to mate. So, and that's called, oh, there's a wonderful bird here. Look at this bird, everybody. Look at this beautiful bird. That's called a Battalier eagle. Look how he flies. That's Mrs. Battalier. You can see she's got white on her wings, underneath the wings. All right, well, that was the Battalier flying. Let's go and look at a Battalier sitting in a tree.
So you just saw a Battalier flying in the sky. And now you've got one sitting up on a branch here, close to Treehouse Dam. Ooh, and it just turned around to give us a beautiful pose. Have a look at the red beak. You can quite clearly see that it's a Battalier. And how do we see that? You can see, you would have seen that also from the way in which James was with a Battalier. You would have seen the flight pattern it has, very, very characteristic. It almost looks like it's walking on a pole. But what we can see here that's characteristic is the red legs and the red beak and that crest on its head. Isn't that the most magnificent looking bird? Wow, that's cool. There we go. So this Battalier is causing quite a bit of havoc around here. You can hear the sound of squirrels making a big noise, but a squirrel alarm call would not only be a Battalier making a noise, you could also hear squirrel alarm calls because of a leopard that's close by. And VM is the filmer behind here, and we both just found leopard tracks just down the road. So there's definitely a leopard in the area somewhere. And a Battalier sometimes can indicate that there's a kill somewhere close by. So we're just going to listen to see if this Battalier will do anything interesting, as if to give away the leopard. We've also, if we have a look over here, we've got an antelope, the impala, just beneath here, which is standing dead still, having a look into the bush, into the thicket. You don't have visual on it at the moment. It's on the left there.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, there we go. So, Torrance is asking, is it difficult for the animals to find water? Well, Torrance, there are actually some watering holes here, and so there is a possibility for animals to get to a spot of water. We're going to go there just now. Let's just have a last. There we go. Vivian has managed to show you that there is some water here. Oh, and that's a buffalo. Can you see the buffalo just through the thicket? That is a big male buffalo. A leopard would definitely think twice before trying to kill a buffalo because they're very, very big. So this is an amazing scene. We've got a bateleur, an impala, and a buffalo. Zeke is asking, what do buffalo eat? Well, Zeke, they mainly eat grass. Grass is their main diet, so they go around and they graze. Much like cattle, if you've ever seen cattle grazing, they're very, very similar to the buffalo, so that you'll see them grazing out on the big areas here. So hopefully, as the day goes on, if you guys are still with us a bit later, I know that we end the drive with you soon, but we might be able to find the large herd. And the large herd is when a big group of buffaloes are moving in one direction. And that is consisted of females and the youngsters and some big males. But this male that we just saw down here, which we'll have another look at, is one of the older ones, otherwise known as a dagger boy, which means he just likes to sit down by the watering hole. As we're going to see now, the water's right here. There's 2 buffaloes there. They like to graze on the nice, thick, nourishing grass, as well as wallow in this water. They can't really keep up with the herds anymore. Oh, it's exactly what I've said. They're nice and wet and they've been wallowing. Torrance is asking, how do the buffaloes protect themselves from some of the predators? Good question, Torrance. Well, if we have a look at these 2 buffaloes here, they've got big, what we call bosses. So these bosses are their main form of defense. So if a predator was to come through, they'll face them direct, and they'll show them their boss, which is those horns on top of its head, and they will either charge, or they will just show that predator that I'm bigger than you, I'm stronger than you, and I will definitely hurt you with this big boss on top of my head. But buffaloes are also quite skittish, so if they did see a predator, they might just run away and just not take the risk. So you can see that buffalo's in that watering hole, walking around. Colin is asking, do lions have any predators? No, Colin, there's no real animal that will kill a lion. A lion is on top of the food chain, but you have 2 above that, a vulture and a hyena, or what we call territory consumers. So they are opportunistic hunters, the hyena and the vulture. But the hyena, if there's a situation where you found a male lion that was in very, very, very bad condition, was very thin and had been kicked out of its coalition, and a big group of hyenas came across a very, very, very sad-looking lion, there might be an opportunity to have a kill. But most of the time, lions are not predated on. Look at that bateleur sitting in the tree. Isn't that beautiful? Wow, Jack asked a good question. How fast can the eagle fly? Jack, I don't have an idea of how quick they can fly. I just know what one of the quickest birds are in the world, which is a peregrine falcon. Which I'd love to see that bird fly one day, but I'm not too sure what the quickest flight of bird is, Jack. Have a look, see if you can find out the answer, and send it to us. #SafariLive. This is how fast an eagle can fly. And then we can all learn together. Thank you, Jack. So Kylie's asking, how many different types of birds are on the park? You know, Kylie, I've been here for about 2 months and I'm sitting on around, well, we've got about, since I've been here, there's been about 61 birds that have been seen. but we can get over 300. So I'm still have to get my bird list all the way up to over 300. Just gonna go over. Okay, so we're going over the dam wall. So a lot of animals will make their way here. So Kirsty, who's our director, has just let me know that eagles can fly on average between 30 and 55 kilometers per hour. Isn't that incredible to think that an eagle can fly that quickly? I must say that is very, very fast for an eagle to fly that quick. We're just going to see if we can get another look of that batelier. Zonda's asking, do we have droughts? Well, Zonda, we most definitely do have droughts. We are we've been through quite a drought recently. So normally the season that we've just had, which is the summer season, is our rainfall season. And we didn't get much rain over that summer season. And we're going into the winter, which means it's going to be a lot drier. So we are definitely coming into a drought, which means that there's going to be lots of animals coming to the same watering hole, lots of competition. All animals like the water, so as you know, we all need water. So the competition is greater. So we're going to sit here a little bit longer, see if we can find a location on a leopard that is around this area. In the meantime, let's see what James is doing with the hornbill.
It would seem that today is the day of the buffalo, everybody. Look, there are buffalo here at the waterhole. And we were hoping to find some elephants here. There were some tracks of elephants coming past here. But there are more buffalo having a swim. And if you want to know about the flies that we are having to deal with, everybody, Brian, if you show them the one in front of us, look at the flies there. Alex, you want to know how big a buffalo can get? Well, that buffalo there that has got more flies on it than you've had hot breakfasts in your life, well, that buffalo is probably about 800 kilograms, which is about 1,800 pounds. A huge number of kilograms, a huge number of flies, a very heavy animal. And it probably stands about 5 foot, maybe 6 feet at the shoulder. So they're quite tall. 5'8" to 6 feet at the shoulder. So they're quite tall and they're very heavy and very strong. And look how cross they look. They say that buffalo look at you as though you owe them money. I think that's a really good description. And remember I told you about chewing the cud? Well, that buffalo is chewing the cud. Watch him now. Watch his throat. Watch his throat. Oh, he's not going to do it now. As soon as you tell people to watch, they don't do it. Isn't he? He's still a very wise old fellow, isn't he? And Meave, you want to know how I can tell how old this buffalo is? Well, Meave, we don't know exactly, but you can sort of tell by what we call a process of deduction. So we know that buffalo live to around 15 years in the wild. We know that buffalo live on their own once they're not when they get a bit older and they don't live in the herd anymore. So that's probably after the age of 12. So we know that he's probably between 12 and 15 years old. Then if we look at his horns, we can see that the keratin, which is that black bit on the top, has been rubbed off by constant rubbing on trees. So those horns are not in great condition. So maybe he's a little bit older than 12, not quite 15. Maybe he's about 13 years old. Then we look at his ears. We see they've been torn up a bit. So he's probably, yes, about 13 years. And between 13 and 15. Then we look at his skin, and we see how good is his skin condition, and is he looking skinny, or is he still sort of big and strong? He's quite big and strong, but not very. So I would say that he is between 13 and 15 years old, Meave. But more accurate, and I might be wrong, he may have just had a very hard life and be younger than that, or had a very easy life and managed to stay young. Torren, you ask a very, very clever question here. You say, what animals don't have any natural predators? Well, out here, I suppose you might say a big bull elephant doesn't have a natural predator, because nothing can kill a big bull elephant unless he's very sick. If he's very sick, then it's possible that a lion could kill him, or many lions could kill him, but unless he was very sick, it's almost impossible. So a big bull elephant. The other one is a big crocodile will have no natural predators. Now, there might be crocodiles in this water, there might not. It's impossible to tell, and that's why we never ever in Africa do we come into water and swim in it unless we can see all the way to the bottom and unless we know that there are no crocodiles. Crocodiles can move big distances. They could be in this water, they might not be in this water, so we would never swim in here. But a crocodile, a big crocodile, has got no natural predators. What a very nice question. Thank you, Torren. And Mrs. Harden, you're wondering whether we try and help animals during the drought. Well, we sort of do, in so much as there are these dams. Now, this waterhole here is not natural, it's man-made, and so that will help animals during drought times. We will pump water into sort of selected areas and create artificial pans or ponds where the animals can come and drink. But in terms of food, no, we won't help the animals with food. And that's, I know, quite difficult to hear, but in a natural system like this, it's a very large area. Remember that if there's no rain and there's no water, what happens is that lots of the grass and the leaves will eventually become eaten. And if you provide food, the animals don't die off. And if they don't die off, the next time there's good rain, then all of the grass and all of the leaves on the trees will be overgrazed and eaten away, and that will create a collapse of the ecosystem. And so it's perfectly natural in natural areas for animals to experience what we call die-off, where they just don't make it through the dry season because it's just too dry and because there's not enough to eat. And we have to allow that to happen. And sometimes it's very painful for us to watch that happen, but it just has to happen because it's a necessary part of a natural system. Look at that old boy. See on the top of his horns there? That's a very special bird, everyone, and I want you to remember this word. This word is called symbiosis. Say that, everybody, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Symbiosis. And symbiosis is the kind of relationship that bird, which is called an oxpecker, has with this buffalo. See how the oxpecker is living on top of the buffalo? And what they do is they eat the ticks. Now, you all know what ticks are, living in America, especially on the west coast, at least the east coast. I think you get lots of ticks around there. These oxpeckers help eat the ticks off the buffalo. So that helps the buffalo, and in turn, the buffalo don't mind if the oxpeckers hitch a ride every so often, so that helps the oxpeckers. That's called a symbiosis, everybody. That slap you heard was me killing a fly. Luke, you want to know if you can tell individual buffaloes apart by their horns. Absolutely you can. If you look at the one you're looking at there, and then the one that Brian's moving the camera to there, you can see that their horns are very different. Same shape, or sort of, but this one has got a wider, what we call boss. You can see the gap between his two horns is bigger than the gap on the other one. And then, Brian, if we go all the way across to these chaps over here, they're probably a little bit younger, but not much. And you can see that his horns are flatter. They don't stick out as much as that other one's. So it's like an individual haircut. That guy's having a very nice sleep, isn't he? So comfortable in the water there. I was hoping to find some elephants here, but they don't seem to be. Just listening carefully to the radio. Now, Corin, before we move on from here, you've asked a lovely question about woodpeckers and whether or not we get different kinds of woodpeckers here. We get 4 different kinds of woodpeckers in this area and about 10 different kinds of woodpeckers in South Africa. And they are quite closely related to your woodpeckers, but they're not as big as your woodpeckers. I'll show you a picture of them now. Here are our woodpeckers here. Those are the 4 woodpeckers that we get here. They're called the cardinal woodpecker, which is number 1. There we go. The golden-tailed woodpecker, which is number 2, because he's got a very golden tail. The bearded woodpecker there, number 4. And he's the biggest one. He's got a big, sharp bill, and he drums on the trees in the mornings. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. And there's the Bennett's woodpecker. So those are the 4 woodpeckers that we have here. What a very nice question. Anyway, there are no elephants here. Let's continue seeing if we can't find some elephants around the corner in the thick bush where they might be standing in the shade. And Mrs. Harden, you want to see some zebra and giraffe. I'd also like to see some zebra and giraffe. But as I said at the beginning, we just don't know what's going to be around the corner, what's going to be where. So we might be lucky to find some zebra, but we don't know where they are all the time. And likewise the giraffe. We just don't know where they are all the time. So every time we come out here, we start looking for things again. So sometimes we see lots of zebra, sometimes we see none. And that's the excitement of being on a game drive. Now we're going to take you into a kind of area where you'd probably... Just listen to that, everybody. Something has made those francolins, those birds, very cross. It's almost like they've either had a fight, or they saw a snake, or they saw a little cat, or something like that. Let's just reverse. Maybe we'll be very lucky. So you've got to use all your senses when you're living in the bush. Your ears, your eyes, your nose, everything. Just going to look with my binoculars. Very important equipment that we have out here is a pair of good binoculars. These ones I have stolen from a friend of mine. No, I can't see anything in there, but you heard how those francolins, which are birds that live on the ground, a bit like a grouse, I suppose. You heard how they got very angry. Something gave them a fright, but I can't see anything in there. Can you, Brian? Man. Oh, flies again, all over the place. Now, Meave, you're very enthusiastic this afternoon, which is wonderful. You want to know how many buffalo you normally find in a group? Well, Meave, normally we'd find sort of a group like that of bulls, and that can be sort of 1 up to 10. But in the big, when the females and the calves are around, the little ones, you can find them in groups of up to 1,000 here. Right, that's enough from me. Let's quickly head across to Sam. He's got something very exciting to show you.
So we have a vervet monkey in the tree. There's not just one vervet monkey that's sitting over there. There's another 2 sitting in the tree there. Is there more, Liam? Liam spotted another one. A little monkey. So these are the we're sitting in a drainage line. What looks like they are in a marula tree on the right. So James showed you a marula tree earlier, and the timbuti next to it. So these monkeys will also tell us a lot in the bush, and when you hear the sound of a monkey alarm call, it's a good sign that there is a leopard close by. Oh, do you see that jump as they climb that tree? It's not often we get to spend time with monkeys, so this is a very cool sighting. What is it eating? I wonder what it's been eating. Monkeys like to eat berries, so they often eat some berries. And there are a few trees that have berries here. Look at this monkey climb. How cool is that? So being able to climb like this gives them the opportunity to see what is around, to have a look for any predators that might be stalking around here. It's really... How many of you guys like to climb trees? This guy loves climbing trees. Oh, he's resting on that branch. He is resting very well on that branch. Must have been a long afternoon. That's often how you see a leopard lying in a tree, and now we can see a monkey lying in a very similar position to a leopard. Zeke wants to know if we have any lemurs in southern Africa. Lemurs. I have not seen a lemur. Sorry, Zeke. I don't think we get lemurs. I know that you get them in Madagascar, but I've never seen a lemur. It must be very cool to see that. Have you seen one, Zeke? So this vervet monkey, when I used to be in my training, when I learned how to do what I do, a monkey once came into my room while I was sleeping, and I got up so quickly I hit my head on my cupboard, and I had a big lump on my head. So whenever I see a monkey, I think about that monkey that ran into my room and basically made me knock my head and fall to the ground. So very high in the tree there, it's the monkey. And we are in a river basin here, so this is a nice cool area. So it's a nice comfortable shady spot for these monkeys to come and relax for the afternoon. It is the main monkey that we get here. We also get baboons, and we've seen loads of baboons out here. So we've seen them over the last couple of days, and baboons have much bigger heads and much bigger canines. Definitely a lot scarier looking than these monkeys. These monkeys are also very confident. If you notice, if you ever come through to South Africa and you meet one of these vervet monkeys on foot, they sometimes won't run away from you. If they see you holding an apple, they'll come quite close. Quite naughty little guys, these vervet monkeys. See the sun shining onto that vervet monkey as he climbs the tree. So I think that's all of them, hey? Kim? Did you saw any in the distance?
Yeah, there's more at the back.
There's more at the back, so this is not the only amount. Let's just see how many we might see here. There's more monkeys around here. There's a monkey sitting in the tree there. Sorry, the sun is right in the way. When I was a kid, I used to love climbing trees. Do you guys love climbing trees? Is it something that you enjoy doing at your school? Just be careful climbing the trees. Don't try and go too high. These monkeys have developed characteristics and skills over many, many years to cope with climbing like that. There we go. You can see how quickly they can move up those trees. We have had an incredible time having a look at all the different animals with the kids today. Thank you so much, Mrs. Harden, for allowing us to take your kids on this epic adventure through the African bush. Hopefully we'll see you guys soon, another time, and we might just have a predator when you definitely come in. But please don't be scared to follow us. You can follow us online at Safari Live, and you can join our adventures every single day out here in the bush and see what the animals get up to, see what we get up to while we're trying to find them. And it's just a fun, interactive journey that you may join. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, wherever you are. And we're going to go and see what James is doing with the kudu.
Hello everybody, here is a herd of kudus. I'm just pausing in that thought because it sounds like a squadron of Messerschmitt flying over circa 1940. Luckily it isn't. Never mind, there we have a herd of kudu browsing through the woodland here. They've become almost invisible already, but there are about 10 of them. It's quite a big group. 2 lovely big bulls walking through there. There's one. Well, he's not very big yet. He's a youngster. He's probably about 4.
I'm leaving the Matotangala sighting.
Let me just turn that down a bit. Just, you may have heard that appalling use of the vernacular, but the Birminghams are on, all of them, all 4 of them, are on Buffelshoek at the moment, and one of them is breeding or mating with a female. I think possibly from, almost certainly from the Nkuhuma Pride, because they were also up there. So that's more good news. We think at least 2 of them are pregnant. Might be a 3rd coming up soon. Great news, great news. Right, we've come along here hoping to find a herd of elephants or something grazing through this woodland. We haven't found that yet. We have found some kudus. We'll go and do another loop past where we thought Karula was with her babies a little bit earlier. Not going to do too much in that area. I don't want to create too much of a stink around the place. So we might then go to Cheetah Plains and see what we can find over there. But we'll make that decision when we get down there. I just did want to show you or give you a view of the valley down here. But unfortunately, I don't seem to be able, there was a lovely view there, and the impression it gave me was one of just how verdant it looks in summertime, and then how dry there. That's quite a nice look across there, Brian, if you don't mind. Now that's the kind of view that if you look at different times of the year, will look completely different colors. Now it was, until probably 3 weeks ago, 100 shades of green. There was very little brown in there at all. And now it's starting to turn slightly brown and slightly yellow as the dry season begins to take hold. Anyway, enough of that. Let's head back across to those wonderful primates that Sam is looking at.
So we are still with the monkeys, and it's been very cool sitting with them. With the kids from Creed. Ooh, that's awesome to see that. Sitting in a russet bush willow, just in the river in the drainage line here. They've been climbing and jumping around these trees. This is perfect habitat for them. They like to be close to these drainage lines. So they normally feed early in the morning, and during the day they rest in trees and feed if they can. But during the night time, they'll climb up trees and sleep. They are diurnal animals. There's some incredible visuals that VM's getting here with the sun behind them. Look how cool that is. If you want to screenshot any of these vervet monkeys, please do so. That was quite a young looking one, VM. Must be quite young. So the breeding is somewhere around 1, seldom 2. And they are born at any time of the year. Look at the young one. Cool. This one is jumping from tree to tree. Look at them go. Awesome. That beautiful soft light in the evening on that young monkey over there. So their gestation period is just 7 months. I'll have them at any time of the year. This is so cool. We don't often get the opportunity to sit with... This one's eating something at the end of that tree. What is it? What's it eating? It looks like it's eating a seed pod. It's cool to watch that. So as I said, monkeys are normally quite skittish. So we came in here quite softly and gently, so we don't give them too much of a fright. And they've been really, really good with us. It looks like it's been eating the pod of that tree. What tree is it? I'm just trying to see. Looks like a knobthorn. There's another one that's just right above us here. Climbing all over the tree. It's incredible how quick they can climb. So they all have a similar social structure to that of baboons. The hierarchy is determined on age. So there he is. Can you see him there? Can't see him in there. One just sitting at the edge of this tree. Almost feels like he could just jump on top of our vehicle. And as we said a little bit earlier when we were with the class, it's quite nice to just sit with monkeys, purely because they will tell us if there is a predator anywhere close by. It's a high-pitched scream that they make when they see a leopard. And the males are quite a bit larger than the females. Sandy from Canada is asking, will this monkey wrap its tail around branches? I have seen that before, but not often, Sandy. You don't often see that. They mainly move around with, you know, it's coming quite close to us now. So this is quite a rare experience that we're having here, having the monkeys quite close. They would be behaving a lot differently if we weren't in our vehicle. So the vehicle actually gives us the opportunity to really experience the animal. He's looking straight into the camera. And then took a nice little seat.
I think they're planning an invasion.
DM thinks that they might just be planning an invasion on us. I reckon they can see your banana, VM.
Yep. They've robbed me many times.
Have they robbed you a few times? So they often come into our camp and try and take all the fruit from our fridges. So hyenas and these monkeys can be the most difficult things in terms of human habitation out here in the bush. Difficult in the sense that they will not be scared to come and take some of our food. Look at that tail hanging down. Very cool. Bella, the bush baby, is saying, watch out for my little Ellie. They might just come down and take it. Don't worry, that Ellie is just not far away from me. I can grab it as quick as possible if I see one of those monkeys coming to fetch it. But to be honest, if they did come in, oh, look at that sweet, that's so sweet. If that little baby came and took my Ellie, I would just let him take it.
Did I try that with my banana?
Dina's just commented and said that she's never had this much time with the vervet monkeys. Dina, neither have I. I've never had this experience. And what was quite interesting is that we came in very, very slowly. And I think that the way in which you interact with the animal from the beginning will determine the way in which we can see them. So we just sat here and they came and started playing in all the trees here. They're very, very relaxed with us here. If you can hear that bird call in the distance, that's also a very, very common bird that we get out here. But it's a bird that we haven't put to our bird list yet. It's called the rain bird, otherwise known as a rain bird. It's a kukul. I'll show you that bird quickly. He goes. Looks like he's trying to get water out of his ear. Can you hear that bird? Very cool. Have a look at that, the features on the face of that vervet monkey. Dark, dark eyes. It's got that white lining around its face, very black face. And what's also a very common characteristic is the blue genitalia. So that's also something that can tell the difference between some of the monkeys. It's quite similar to that of the Sykes monkey, which I haven't seen before. Very similar to that one. Oh, we've got a bird flying in the sky there. What is that? It's a plane. Good spot there, Wiem. In the distance, off goes the plane. Well, it's been very, very cool, these monkeys. Ooh, they started making a noise. We're gonna sit with them for a little bit longer. Let's see how James is doing with the batelier.
A feast of batelier that we have here. A male and a female here sitting on a tree. And the female is the one with the, I can never remember this, let me just quickly check. You can see one of them's very sort of brindled on the back, and one has a grey and shoulder patches, and that is the distinguishing feature when you see them sitting like this. I, of course, can never remember which is which, but I will tell you shortly. It is the female who has, oh no, the female is the one closest to us with her back to us. We know that because of the white primaries underneath the brindled part of the wing there. The male is black underneath the grey shoulder patches that he has. They almost look like they want to take off and fly. And this is perfect weather for a batelier to fly. It's warm, so there's lots of hot air coming off the ground. There's also a nice breeze. Now, what that means is that they don't need to go up too high to maintain height. They can fly a little bit like a seabird, like an albatross or a petrel, which flies very low to the sea surface, but only because there's always a wind. And a batelier doesn't like to fly too high, and so a breeze like this, which is consistent and coming out of the southeast, they can use very nicely to fly around. They are such magnificent eagles, and not found anywhere outside of protected areas. They're tremendously susceptible to carcass poisoning that a lot of farmers engage in. Livestock farmers, I mean. And I suspect also with those colours, they have fallen prey to many poachers over the years. Are they not special? I think that's a fantastic sighting. This couple seems to live around here, and I've seen them with a juvenile less than 7 years old and a semi-adult, sort of probably about 5 or 6 years old. And I'm sure that those are both youngsters from previous clutches that these two have raised in this area off Mumba Road. Right, now we've come onto Mumba Road in the hopes that Karula has popped out of here after her foray on Leadwood, which is just to the south of where we're sitting. So let's just see if she hasn't popped out here. We'll have a look on the road for a few tracks. Otherwise, we'll see what else we can see. Sam is still with the monkeys. Let's go and see what they're doing.
So the monkeys are even more relaxed than they were before. And what's a little bit concerning is that they're now surrounding us from every single angle. So there's some behind us in the trees, which you can't see as clearly as the one that you are seeing now. So we're just going to sit with this one. Ooh, is it eating one of those seed pods? I thought I saw it eating a seed pod. But I was just saying to VM, what would we do if they all came and jumped in our vehicle? What would you do, VM?
Run away.
VM says that he'll just get up and run away. Our beard wants to know, who is faster, Sam or the monkeys? Well, I'm really not that quick. Our beard, I'd like to say that I could run quickly, but I cannot. So I think the monkeys are a lot quicker than us. Well, than me. I definitely cannot climb a tree like they can. I really wish I could though. Looks like quite a lot of fun. And what's awesome is sometimes you'll see baboons grooming each other, and that's a real treat to watch sometimes. Because they really look after each other in these troops. It's very cool to see one that's right here, look. What is he doing? What are you doing? What's he doing, VM?
Gonna come for you. I think he's tuning you.
Looks like he wants to say something to us. Okay. It is incredible with that soft light that's coming through the trees there onto this monkey. Here's one right here. So they're literally just behind us now. XVM's just going to turn around to show us the ones that are on either side of us. So when I say that they really are closing in on us, they are very comfortable with us being around them, which is quite cool. But they're definitely looking very relaxed. That was a cool jump. Did you see that? Potentially that monkey's now going to run up this tree, so let's hope he does that. And then we can really see the acrobatic skill. There he is. There's another one jumping. There he goes. Oh, he just did exactly what I asked him to. It's nice of him, or her. Seems like he's chewing something. I'm just going to go and have a look in my mammal book to see what they actually like to eat. What is the main food that a vervet monkey likes to eat? Let's find that out. So the food that they eat is mostly wild fruit, as well as flowers, leaves, sprouts, gum, and insects. That's cool. So as they climb these trees, they'll be taking off some of the ants that might be climbing around it. So their biggest enemies, which is quite interesting, is a leopard and a crowned eagle. So a leopard is the greatest predator of a monkey, and I would say that is because a leopard can also climb a tree. And that's why it's really, really a good sign when you hear a monkey alarm call, because that means that a leopard is close by. Lisa in Colorado, ooh, look at those, did you see those teeth? Very pronounced teeth there. Lisa in Colorado is quite glad that we've stayed with the monkeys. Well, Lisa, it's a good opportunity to sit with an animal that we don't normally get a lot of time to spend with, and to learn a little bit more about them, because that's when we're really going to learn more about the bush, is when we're experiencing them, not reading them in the books. So now we know that they are very efficient climbers. They like to eat fruits and leaves and browse, and even little insects on the trees. And very, very good acrobats. So they are surrounding us again. So I think VM is going to defend himself with a banana. X-Ranger says that she wants to watch Planet of the Apes after this. Ooh, look at that. There's one right on that stump there. That looks very cool. Scratching his head. X-Ranger wants to watch Planet of the Apes. I've never seen that before. I don't know if I intend to. It sounds quite scary. There you go. So we don't often see the monkey on the floor, and this monkey's now having a little walk on the floor. There it comes. Gee. Oh, there's another one that's coming right on the branch as well. See, the longer that we stay here, the more confidence and relaxed that they actually get here. It's very cool to sit here with these monkeys as they jump around these trees. Can you see one there, Jim? Oh, there he is. So, James is currently off the vehicle to see if he can find some leopard tracks. Oh, look at that. Quick run across. I think James is, oh, there he is. So James is also in the drainage line in front of us. So we could potentially see a monkey walking around around us here. Jokes, James. I don't imply that you're a monkey. You are Frodo Baggins. There he goes, look at that. Can you hear that bird? Two Polly, two Polly, two Polly. That's a black collared barbet. Two Polly. Nice forming VM, great. They're quick when they get on the ground there. So. Sean from Secunda is asking, can a big male baboon kill a leopard? Well, it's very, yes, of course they can, you know. Especially where I was in the Cederberg Mountains, there are many, many baboons out there, and as well as there are leopards. So the two main predators of the Cederberg were the black eagle and the leopard. You can imagine the leopard would have preyed on a baboon every now and then when it was desperate. The reason why I say every now and then, it is quite dangerous trying to kill a baboon if you're a leopard, because the size of their canines are not small. So there's definitely a number of casualties that have happened out in those mountains. I'm not sure if I've ever seen a leopard killing a baboon here. I know that lions will often kill a baboon, but I'm more than sure that they would. Well, this baboon's getting close to where James's vehicle is. Maybe they'll meet each other on foot. I meant to say vervet monkey, not baboon. I was talking about baboons. Okay, so they've jumped around the tree around us. They threatened to attack us. Thank goodness they didn't attack us. And now they are in the brush to the right of us. And James is out looking for a leopard just in front of us. So these baboons will be on his team, on the tracking team with him, because if they see that leopard, they will basically point out that leopard for us. So there he goes. Aren't these trees beautiful in the drainage line here? As these monkeys play around them, it's like a big jungle gym. So they're all around these trees here. It's getting quite thick in here. Let me see if I can get into another position. So it looks like the monkeys are now heading off away from the drainage line. You can still see a couple of them playing. There's one that's right on top of the tree there. You can just see his tail playing. But it looks like they're starting to head out. So I think with that, let's see if we can head out at the same time and see if we can find something else before the sun sets this evening. So, all of you guys are quite excited that we managed to spend quite a fair amount of time with monkeys. I really enjoy spending time with any creature out here. I don't have a specific animal that I love more than the other. So tracking a leopard is just as fun for me as sitting with some monkeys. But I think we found a different monkey in the back of the vehicle. Oh, they're still here. They're following us. Look at them jumping around here. This is so cool. They're just following us around. You know what? If they want to be filmed, we will film. Oh, did you see that? Such skill. They're literally following us down the riverbank. So there's another one coming. Hopefully we'll get to see that again. Let's actually just stop for a minute and see if we can see that there's one coming through the trees here. So hopefully we'll get to see another jump from tree to tree from a vervet monkey. Can't see him right now. Can you see him, Ben? Yeah, there comes one. So the one's in the right there, in the tree. Maybe if I just carry on moving, they'll follow us because they're literally following us down the drainage line. Now you can actually see them. They're all starting to move into this tree now. So if we wait a little bit longer, we might see, there they come. This is awesome. This one's jumping up the tree. Both of them are jumping up. They're climbing all the way to the top now. There's another one right here. Let's watch this one cross here. Yep. 1, 2, 3, go. Debbie in Vancouver is asking, will these monkeys look out for leopards? Debbie, they most certainly will. Their biggest predator is a leopard. So as soon as they see that leopard, they'll start making a very... that was the greatest jump. Jeepers, that was awesome. That was so... Wow. So this is high monkey spectacle that we've got going over here. So they are following us down the riverbank. So they're basically saying, please don't just leave just yet. I've got a good feeling that we should sit here just for another 3 to 5 minutes. Watch them jump from tree to tree. X-Rang is saying that we should drop the banana and no one will be hurt. Well, X-Rang, that might be the right thing to do. VM's the one holding. There's a small one right in between that tree. It's cool to see that. He's learning how to climb trees, watching his fellow family jumping from tree to tree. Must be an exciting thing. Damn it, we just missed one jumping across. There's just too much action going on. X-Ranger, VM is the one that has the banana. He hasn't eaten it yet.
I'm not going down without a fight.
VM says he's not going to go down without a fight. So, if anything, he'll use his banana as a sword. But I heard earlier, you said you would just run away, didn't you, Vim?
It's part of the tactic.
It's part of his tactic, okay. So there's one that's jumping up into the tree now. This is incredible that they've spent so much time in our presence. And as I've said, we are not wasting any time tracking a leopard here, because these guys will be seeing if they... Oh my word, I think I've seen another animal out there. Yeah, just look slightly down into the drainage line. Do you see that monkey walking through there? What is that? Oh goodness. Is that a baboon? Is it a vervet monkey? I don't know. It's the strangest looking vervet monkey I've ever seen. Oh, that's hilarious. It's quite funny is the monkeys haven't reacted that much to that strange looking baboon that's now walking through the bush.
They recognize their kind, you know?
They recognize their kind, that's it. VM just hit it on the spot there. Here he comes. So as the monkey's now entering the drainage line here. How's it going, James?
Yeah, I'm here.
Have you found any tracks out there?
No, I haven't.
Did you see any earlier?
No, nothing here.
What species of monkey are you?
Oh, I think I was going with Australopithecus africanus today. That was my general intention.
Well, we've just got
ancient hominid.
Ancient hominid.
Yes. Yes.
We've just got a comment saying that you are not a baboon, you're a buffoon.
A buffoon. Is that from the Final Control or from a viewer?
I don't know if that's from Kirsty in Final Control.
Yeah, that's probably exactly who it's from. We were looking for tracks. Obviously, the tracks went into that area this morning.
Okay.
Of Karula and her babies, but I have come up with nothing. So I think she doesn't want to be found. So we'll leave her for now and maybe come back in the morning. I hope to find her sort of lying on the sand here as we came through.
That's what we were hoping.
Yes.
We're hoping maybe the monkeys would say, there's Karula.
Yes, exactly. I was a bit disturbed when I saw the monkeys. I knew that the chances of seeing her were imminently reduced. All right, well, as you were, everybody. Good luck with Sam.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you a little bit later.
Thanks, James. We'll see you a bit later. What routes are you looking to take?
I thought I'd go back towards Treehouse.
Treehouse.
Where are you going to go?
I'm going to continue past you, wherever the wind may take us.
Right.
Not the wind from Cape Town, the Savannah wind. So, there's Brian. If you've ever wondered what Brian looks like, there he is, sitting behind his camera, doing the job that he knows best. So we've seen all types of monkeys this afternoon. From vervet monkeys to buffoons. We'll see you lovely people later. Good luck out there.
Bye-bye.
Bebop's cool?
Bye, dear. Bye, Sam.
It's just Bebop's. So that was fun, watching them all. Right, let's go and see what else we can find. The opportunity of finding other animals is still happening. The sun's still up.
Leopard time.
You want to go find Karula?
Leopard time.
It's leopard time, that's what VM says. Ooh, there's water flying all over my car. I wish you could feel what it's like to be in this drainage line with us. I'll give you a little bit of a feeling. It's quite warm. There's a little wind that's coming in this direction. It's not as crispy as it was this morning. It's still that warm, you know, that warm feeling that you get when you're out on out on a riverbed or sand, you know, it's like heat coming off sand that's been hot all day. That's the best kind of description I can give you, as well as the sunset that's about to come out. So we'll see if we can get to that sunset. Mr. Ellie? How cool is that sighting, the vervet monkeys? So let's go and see what the baboon James Henry is doing.
I do apologize for sort of butting in on your sighting there. I was concentrating on watching the floor and didn't quite realize how far Sam had come up the drainage line, so I'm sorry for my buffoonerous behavior there. Anyway, once you're in it, you know, once you're in these sorts of things, you just got to go with it, go with your instincts. That's what I did, scratching the underarms and my inner thigh. I found no tracks of Karula, like I said, so we'll go across to roundabout where Shadow was today. I don't know what, we may be lucky with her, but otherwise I'm sure we'll find something else that is interesting to look at. We're going up Twin Dams Road today. There was also tracks of Tingana going up here today. They disappeared off somewhere there. There's a diker running across the road, not followed by a leopard. See if we can see him. We seldom get good diker shots. That's because they're so good at diking, aren't they? They're very good at diking. Anyway, like I said to you this morning, I'm always a little nervous when there's so many tracks around because so often nothing turns up. And I know Brent Leo Smith will tell me I'm talking absolute nonsense here, but if I was to say to you that I feel we probably find as many leopards randomly on the road as we do actually tracking them, I think it's probably about a 50-50 split. We'd love to think that we are tracking them down quite often. Half the time I think it's blind luck. Thankfully, we seem to have quite a lot of luck here, which is good. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to all of you for your very kind comments on my impression of the vervet monkey. You say it was even better than the dust bath I once did. Well, I think that's very kind of you. I'm glad to have topped my hitherto best performance. You know, you join the Royal Shakespeare Company and you have you're known by your performance of Hamlet or perhaps of Macbeth. Me, I'm known by my performance of the dust bath and the vervet monkey. It is marvelous, isn't it, Brian? It's very nice that each sort of performer has its own highlight. Brian, Rebecca would like to see your bum pillow, apparently.
Bum pillow.
There is the bum pillow. Go ahead.
James, I'm fall behind you. What is your thinking then?
I'm going to do Ingwer Alley across to Philemon's Dip and then down to Treehouse Dam. I'm assuming Samuel is going towards the hyena den at this stage. Okay, copy. No. I'm sorry, birds. I really am sorry for the yellow-billed hornbill. I just frightened off the road. And what that yellow-billed hornbill was doing was eating the termites out of a piece of old buffalo dung. Now, just listen carefully. You can hear the psh, 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 psh of an oxpecker, and that tells me that there is some form of antelope around here. That was the buffalo dung. There was a buffalo around here earlier. It was the most terrified buffalo I've ever seen. Brian and I thought, oh, well, that's a good start for the school drive. We'll stop next to that buffalo. And he took one look at us and scarpered into the bush like a terrified scrub hare. Pathetic. Pathetic it was, wasn't it, Brian? Pathetic. Ah, Leapad, a very good question from you. How did the buffalo get its name Daggaboy? Well, you've probably seen it spelt D-A-G-G-A, boy. And that, of course, will never lead you to the correct answer, Leapad. The word, you've seen them often lying in the mud. The Zulu word for the mud is umdaga. It's said D-A-G-G-A, but it is written D-A-K-A, umdaga. So an umdaga boy is a muddy fellow, basically, and it comes from the Zulu for the word mud, umdaga. So Daga boy, a old buffalo bull who likes to lie in the mud. Righty, we're going to turn into the rapidly setting sun now, onto the aptly named road, Ingwe Alley. I have seen a number of Ingwe. Ingwe is the Shangaan and Zulu word for leopard. And I have seen Tingana there, I've seen Karula there, I've seen Tundi there. Paul, you want to know about Tingana? Any updates on him? Yes, we have tracks of him going up north, up this road from this morning. In fact, from early last night. Where they've gone, I'm afraid I cannot tell you at this stage. We have not managed to find him just yet. So that's where Tingana is. He's on the prowl again. The last time he was seen properly was on Torchwood, where he killed a fully grown male impala. He devoured that there for 2 days, and then he's now back on the prowl. He's, I think, marking territory. He had the kind of look about the tracks that he was marking territory, because they're on the hunt, they're not going to walk them down the road. This is the word, at least this is the road, Ingwe Alley. Alley full of ingwes would be marvellous at this stage. Not one elephant today out here, which is very odd. A couple on Buffels Hook, apparently. And I came up with my own explanation for why this is the case this morning. I thought I was very clever. And while I was waffling on about it, Shadow stepped into frame, and unfortunately, well, very fortunately for everybody, she upended my train of thought, and she was very entertaining for a little while. But I was just saying that I think the fact that the trees can communicate with each other, we know that many of the trees out here produce pheromones that will result in the other trees of the same species increasing their chemical defenses. The fact that that happens, I think, if there explains why, or perhaps explains why there are so many elephants in an area for a period and then they all disappear. Now, would it not be possible, don't you think, that because they eat so much, that many, many trees would start to produce the pheromones and the chemical defenses, and so an entire area would become inundated with unpalatable trees and grasses and other plants, and that would cause the elephants to move off for a little while, and they'll, once all that's died down, they'll come back into an area. So I think that's what happens to them, because it doesn't, I can't work out why their distribution is seemingly so inexplicable, why there are suddenly elephants here around every corner, and then poof, they're gone. It's very seldom that there are one or two and then nothing. It's almost all of them here and then all of them gone. You see the sun starting to set. I'm assuming, like I say, that Sam is going to the hyena den. He had a wonderful time with them this morning. And they do tend to disappear as soon as the sun goes down. They feed the kids, they put them to bed, and then they go foraging. And they seem to have stolen an impala yesterday evening from Salayeshe, not Salayeshe, talking rubbish, from Shiluva, the flower, up in north in Buffels Hook. Our little clan of hyenas, who provided us with so much joy. And if you do like the hyenas, I'm not sure if Sam told you, but there's a lovely Facebook page called the Hyenas of Juma and Arathusa, and you can go and have a look at that. It'll tell you all about the individuals in the Juma clan and the individuals in the Arathusa clan, which are many. No Ingwes on Ingwe Alley today, Brian?
No, I saw.
You saw 4?
No, I saw none.
Oh, you saw none? Oh, good. Well, no, not good, but, you know, I'm glad you didn't see any and didn't tell me, you know what I mean?
No, I
Yes.
wouldn't keep them.
No. unseasonably hot day today. It's just, I'm going to sneak around the corner here. I tried to have a sighting like this earlier. There's this Franklin having a dust bath. Don't go round the corner, you beastly little thing. There we go. No. The crested Franklin, who's now very confused because we're not driving around at great speed. Now just look at the special colours on this bird. Yeah, he's relaxed. Looks like he's now eating some grass seeds. That's exactly what he's doing. Isn't that cool? Look at the detail on the feathers. Look at that. I think that is just delightful. So they will eat seeds, they will eat insects. It'll be the largest things that they eat in this particular area. And of course, as the winter goes on, they too are going to struggle. And what we've seen twice now already, let's see if this one does it. They'll fossick around in the dung of the herbivores because there will be many, many different sort of termites and dung beetle grubs and that sort of thing in the dung. Just like a bush chicken, basically. Just to give you an idea of the size, they're eating buds as well, buds off that sort of herbaceous plant. Let's see what it is. This is a wonderful little sighting. Now, it's about the size, that thing, of, I mean, I don't know what to liken it to, but about like a grass size. It's probably about 10 inches long from beak tip to tail tip. So not very large. And these are the second birds that you'll hear in the morning. The first ones you'll hear are the grey-headed sparrows, and then the crested franklin will start to call. And it'll be the last diurnal bird that you'll hear at the end of the night as well, other than the drongo, second last diurnal bird. Just wonderful. That's an incredible shot. Hey, look at the drops of snow-like drops going down the back of its neck. We never get to look at these birds like this, you know. They normally live in groups, which we call coveys. And covey, rather like the name game, which we use to describe the animals out here, is a hunting term for game birds. There, that's one of them calling. Not this one, obviously. I imagine it must be exhausting living a life like this, fossicking, eating all the time. Now it's nervous because it's had to come into the open, and there it goes into the grass again. That is a really, really pretty sighting. All right, Brian, let's go and see what else we can find around the corner. Isn't that nice? Book Diva, you want to know what sound an oxpecker makes? It goes like this. Psh, 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 psh. Let me, I'll play it for you. What is going on here? Let's go up this way. And the O for ox pecker. Here you go, Book Diva. This is what they sound like. Can you hear that? That's a red-billed oxpecker. So that kind of alarm call, that psh, 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 psh. You listen out for that if you're walking on foot, as opposed to walking on wheels. That's what an oxpecker sounds like. All right, shut up now. Thank you. That's enough. Alrighty, let's see what we can find down here. Dan, you say you've never been much of a birder. That's what most people say until they see their first bird and identify it. You say you're developing an appreciation for francolins and hornbills. Dan, I found, I wasn't much of a birder until I moved to the bush either, but what I have found is that a good pair of binoculars is the way to get hooked. Because once you start seeing the detail, like we were looking at the detail on that bird there, it becomes, it's a whole world of discovery. And so I would go out and get myself a pair of binoculars if I were you, Dan, and see if that doesn't inspire you to become a world twitching phenomenon. And I'm not sure if many of you have seen, but there's that film called what's it called? It's called The Big Year, where those birders run around the place trying to find the greatest number of species that they can in 1 year, and this is around the world. This really does happen. I'm not sure if the story is true or not, but you know, the tourism industry of birding itself takes in apparently more than $1 billion a year worldwide. So worldwide, people spend more than $1 billion flying around, staying in hotels and buying equipment to look at different bird species. I think that's phenomenal. $1 billion. That was, in fact, that was 10 years ago that they were spending that. So I've no doubt it's much more than that now. We'll try and get you a look at the sun as it goes down, and always do that at this time of the day, ideally with a snifter. I don't see any sign of shadow. Do you see shadow anywhere, Brian? No, alas, alas. I suspect quite strongly she's headed back to Arethusa to be with her babies. We will start viewing her babies now, everyone, so if we do find them, we will happily view them. They are, well, they're a day off being 2 months old. So they, much like Karula's cubs, are now in a viewable state because we know that they can climb trees at 2 months old. That said, we will still be very sensitive and we wouldn't view them without their mother there with them. That will only happen when they're about 5 months old or so. This is another fairly quiet drive on the bird and mammal front. Yeah, well, c'est la vie. Maybe it's setting me up for an exceptional morning tomorrow. Just as likely not, I suppose. Thank you, X-Ranger, for your encouragement. You say it's been a fantastic drive so far with the Franklin and the monkeys. Thank you very much. I'd like to know if anybody out there has a particular enthusiasm for buffalo. You know, we see buffalo all the time, and they are, well, I mean, they're known as part of the horrendously named Big Five. And when people come to Africa, they so often say, well, we want to see the Big Five, until they discover that cheetah and wild dog and giraffe are not part of the Big Five. Does anybody out there have a particular fondness for buffaloes? I quite like them, but I get the impression that they're not that popular on the game menu. Do you like buffalo, Brian?
Oh, I thoroughly enjoy them.
You thoroughly enjoy them. Good for you. Yes. Right, we're going to go through the clearing over here and see if we can see the sun going down over the Drakensberg Mountains, and maybe Shadow will be basking in the sunset. A little bit faster. Keep the flies at bay. At the wires are left and right. Not much going on. Mrs. Harden, of course, in the children's class said, could we see some zebra and giraffe? And I would love desperately to have shown her some zebra and giraffe, indeed to have shown you some zebra and giraffe. But it's just not always possible. All right, here we go. I think we're going to have a good sunset here. That'll make up for it. Well, for me anyway. Around the corner we go. And Deborah, armchair traveller, you like the different buffalo hairdos. That's good. See if we can see any buffalo hairdos off to the right-hand side there. Or any shadows, indeed. There we go. We're coming out into the clearing now, everyone. You'll see the bush disappear. Deborah, I enjoy the different hairdos very much, especially Taylor's. Taylor's hairdo is spectacular. Oh, Brian, look at that. Just marvelous. We'll just stop right here. I will take another world-class photograph with my phone. Everyone will be so amazed at my skills. It's almost the same as Brian's picture. There we go. Oh, that one was squaff. There we go. I can hear some elephants. Finally. Isn't that pretty, everyone? Now, we were asked about the northern Drakensberg today, and somebody said if we've asked if we'd seen snow. I've seen snow over there, basically where Brian is showing the mountains. That was many years ago, and it's extremely unlikely, as I said. There is no local word for the word snow or ice, interestingly. So the word for snow in Shangaan is borrowed from the word, or the word for ice is borrowed from the Zulu word, which is Iqwa. Wonderful name, Iqwa. You hear whatever that is, Brian, eating through there. And thank you to all of you for enjoying the sunset. I just think it's an important thing to look at every day if you can. Can't have too many of them. I shall show you my remarkable photograph. You'll be so amazed. Not quite as good as the one Brian's getting you. Sorry, that is the flies attacking me yet again. Not sure why I attract their attention so much. I've just noticed my photograph is blurred. Let's carry on. And Sharon, do you say my next book should be called Bored of the Flies? Yes, I think that's a very good play on words. Very good, thank you, Gerard. Maybe. I've just heard something rustling in the bushes up here. I thought it might be an effluent. What do you think, Brian? Think it might be an effluent? Probably, maybe. Potentially, maybe. Let's have a look-see. Maria, you would like to look at the stars again tonight? Yes. Oh, that's what it was. It was this idiot rubbing his horns on this bush. Go on, do it again then. And I say idiot because so many of them are being eaten right now. All they can think about is fighting with each other, rubbing their horns against bushes to show how tough they are, and they forget completely to look out for the things that want to eat them. Maria, we can absolutely look at some stars tonight. You say it was actually quite cool. You seem to be quite surprised that it was quite cool, Maria. It is amazing what this camera is able to do. Book Diva, a nice one from you, to which I'm not sure I know the answer. You want to know if all the antelope have got glands on their feet. Now, some of them have got glands in between their hooves. Some of them, like those impala, have got glands on the fetlock joint, which is the kind of ankle joint at the back. I'm going to say most of them, I think, do have what they call interdigital glands between the sort of cloves of the hooves, and that's why they paw at the ground and they leave a scent there. So yeah, I think most of them do. Not all though, but many. I'm just not sure exactly which ones do and which ones don't. Right, it's almost time to put a bit of light on now that the sun has dipped below the western horizon. Right, Sam has just arrived at the den of scavenging hyenas. Let's head across there.
So we are back at the same hyena den we were this morning, and we've just seen that there's there's a tree in your way. We've just noticed that there's no activity here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around to the other den and just to see what might be happening. I think what the situation is that is going on is that the young cubs are inside the den itself and the elders are not here. Oh, hold on. There they are. The elders are here. There they are. Cool, just spotted that on the corner of my eye. So it looks like that female we saw this morning. Belly's still full. Looks like she's still eating. Jeepers, she's been eating the whole day. You can see how full that belly is. I don't think I've ever seen a belly that full. She didn't share any of her kill with the youngsters today, and I had a chat with James about it earlier, and they're not at the age yet, the cubs, to actually eat part of the carcass. They're only at around 6 months will they start eating that carcass. So it's soon. In the next 2 to 3 months, we'll start seeing the young ones really eating. This one still does look like a youngster, eh? We're going to see if we can get a little bit closer, because they definitely are eating something there. Just ahead of us. They might just bring it here though, so I don't want to be too hasty. I'd rather be patient, get a nice visual of them from a distance. Hopefully they'll bring it closer to us. They're definitely feeding on something. That does look like a young one. It's much smaller than the female, as you can see, and it is feeding. So there was one that was born in November, 2 in December, 2 in January. So the one born in November, so it's November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So that's just over 6 months. So the one born in November will start to feed soon. And I'm just curious to know, is this one potentially the older cub? I mean, it is quite big. What do you think, Viam?
I think it's the previous litter.
So Viam thinks it's the previous litter, because I don't. It's quite a large. So this is from the previous litter. But you could see that this one here is quite a one behind this one at least. That's the huge female. It's quite a lot smaller than the other one. I'd love to know what they've... So, possibly that hyena's name is Madam. So I don't think I've met Madam. Good afternoon, Madam. Nice to meet your acquaintance. What are you eating over there? Because quite clearly being able to eat with a big female. Mia in Illinois wants to know, how often will hyenas have cubs? That's a very good question, Mia. So, with hyenas and monkeys, they will look after and rear their cubs past their weaning period, which can be over a year. So sometimes they can spend over a year with the female. So sometimes they won't have another litter until that litter is grown to a position where it is independent on its own. And as soon as the female becomes a little bit more independent from those youngsters, it will go back into estrus and have the ability to mate. So it's all very dependent on how things are working within the clan itself. But it's a good question, Mia. I'm definitely not positive on what the exact dates are of when it can actually do that. So, but now we can really see what is in the mouth there. What do you think that is? I can just see it from here. It looks like... What is that? So it could be walking around. It's now behind the thicket here. What do you think that was, Via?
She's at the den.
Oh, she's at the den. I thought she was going around the thicket. I was too busy looking at the screen to figure out what she was holding in her mouth. This could be interesting to watch. All the cubs are out now. It looks like they want to feed. Jeepers, we've had an exciting day with the hyenas today. There go the cubs. They're looking like they want something to eat. Is she going to let them feed? I doubt it. But it would be interesting to see how she behaves around them. Just going to get into a position where we can view them. Don't want to scare them too much. So we're just behind that tree. You can see the youngsters are looking like they're feeding. Yes, they are. All of them are going towards her now. This is cool to see because I was worried this morning. Not worried, I just was interested to see if she would let them feed. Ooh, she's not letting that one feed. Fascinating behavior. I'm going to move it a little closer to this tree so that we can get a good visual of them eating in the distance there. There we go, the youngster's holding it in its mouth. Coming right towards the den. Going down into the den, looks like they're feeding right there. So a little bit of aggression towards one another as they're trying to feed. Very, very strong smell that we are smelling here. It's fascinating to see how these... Ooh. A brutal attack on one another. that one of them has got the kill now. It's got the carcass. Have you seen how they're behaving? It's unreal, this experience that we're having with these hyenas. The youngsters are fighting with each other. What are these two looking at? What are you looking at? The aggression that they had against each other was very, very intense. Could you hear the sound of that hyena? That young hyena as it cried when it was getting bitten. It sounded like it was going through quite a lot of pain. There you could quite clearly see again that belly of the female. But look, the mother's now going in the direction where these cubs were looking. I wonder where they're going. Potentially the rest of the kills there that they've brought back. Now the one's going off to go follow mom, while the two here that are eating. Let's go and see if we can see where that one's going. There's a lot going on here. Maybe it's building the courage to follow mom. So it's exited now. There's something down there. But let's go back to this. Look, they're going again. They're fighting over the kill. I'm going to keep as quiet as possible because the sounds that we're hearing are quite loud, like a really interesting squeal. I've never seen behavior like this before. There we go. We can now see two of them feeding on whatever that is. Let's try and work out what that is.
Backbone.
It's the backbone, VM thinks. The backbone of whatever animal it was. That looks like a delicious meal for them. Here comes that big female again. Has she got anything in her mouth? No, she doesn't have anything in her mouth. One thing that I am enjoying to watch a lot is the interaction between each of these cubs with the mother. Each of them almost seem like they've got a very, very different relationship. Ooh. Two cubs just pushed the mother down. Listen to that sound, the iconic sound of the hyena. How funny was it watching that mom being pushed down there? She's so heavy, I reckon, that's why. So there goes the big female. I don't know what I would feel like if I was that full. This den is very active this evening. So the two are now standing outside the den. There's another one that's coming towards the den now. Let's watch how this hyena that's coming towards the den interacts with these two cubs. I don't think he's coming. Is he just... There he comes. He's got something in his mouth. Just walks past the other cub, starts feeding. The other one wants something. That was a very, very high-pitched squeal that we heard just now from one of those hyenas. So that one to the right looks like one of the December cubs, the smallest looking of them. I wonder where's Madam got to? So Teresa just made a very good comment that nothing goes to waste out here in the bush. Teresa, we were chatting about the way in which hyenas were a bit earlier, and they are opportunistic hunters as well as scavengers. So any opportunity they have to hunt an animal, they will. But when they find like an old carcass that a hyena, that a leopard or a lion has left or dropped or they've been chased off, they'll eat them. Here comes one that's running in. This could be Madam. Madam also looks quite full. What's Madam doing? Straight into a greeting. What on earth is that sound? So Madam is the matriarch. What? What is that sound? What is going on? So one of the cubs was squealing frantically now. So I'll say it again, Madam is the matriarch of this clan. So I'm starting to get to know this clan a little bit better. From the big leaders that is very, very full, you can see that belly there, to these little young ones that were born in November, December, January. Twitty, November, Corky, December, and Madam. Pretty says, Pretty, Corky, and Madam. Pretty was the mother of the November. Corky was the mother of the December. And Madam was the mother of the January cubs. This is the second time we've been at the den today, and it's been highly active. So we're going to stay here for a little bit longer, just to see what else might go on. But it's starting to get very, very dark, and we can't shine any spotlights around the den here. So as soon as it gets dark, we'll leave here. But we've had some of the most interesting behavior I've ever seen with hyenas in my life. I'm sure you guys have had a great time. How loud are those squeals? The squeals were very, very loud. I think that's Madam lying down, very full, with the youngster next to it. could be feeding. I think there's still a number of them that have gone down into that hole since that last hyena came here. So that hyena came here, caused a whole bunch of havoc, and 2 or 3 of them were chased down one of these holes, which was strange behavior. Strange is the wrong word. It's rather the behavior that could be from the influence of a mother. Alright, so we're going to leave the hyenas here. The dark is getting the light is getting very dark, and we're going to head off and see what other night critters we might be able to find. So from monkeys to hyenas, a bit later.
The night has fallen, everybody, on the Lowveld, and our luck has not improved, has it, Brian?
No, it hasn't.
Brian, do you think that the universe is spitting upon us?
Yes.
Yes, me too. We're driving up Twin Dams Road, and we're going to see if we can't find Tingana, whose tracks were seen heading this way today. Keep your eyes on the Juma Dam cam. You might be lucky with him there. Otherwise, we'll try and find something else. We're definitely going to stop and look at the stars. We're also definitely going to have to stop and have a listen at something, because to see something today is apparently extremely difficult. 3 drives I've had now where this has been the case, other than the wonderful leopard we had this morning, of course, and yesterday afternoon. And I suppose when the universe doth smile upon one a little bit, well, that's probably all it's going to give you, really. Okay, let's do a little experiment. What we're going to do is just stop here, and Angela, I will answer your question. In Boston, very nice to hear from you, all the way from Boston. I want to know when we last saw the Nguhuma Pride. I don't know when I last saw them, but they're on Buffels Hook now, so they're there. They're not far from here. And given the activities of the Solati Coalition and the Talamati Pride from up there, it wouldn't surprise me to find the Birminghams and the Nguhumas coming south sometime during the night. All right, we're kind of on a ridge crest here. What I would like you to do, I'm going to be quiet for 20 seconds. Just listen here, and then we're going to go down into the depression, and you can listen there as well. So almost completely silent. You can hear a lot further, so you might be able to hear the odd tweeting bird, the odd drongo, maybe a francolin or 2. It's a long way from where we are now. Now let's go down the hill, into the depression, into the drainage line, and see how much closer the atmosphere is there, and how much more you can hear, I hope. The drainage line just up ahead, we'll stop in there. Right, let's roll down here. No, we won't roll down anywhere. Let's go. Let's keep going, everyone. Now we can roll. Right, we're going to stop down here now, and then I'm going to be quiet for another 20 seconds. Turn the lights off. See how much darker it is here. Obviously we can't see the sun or the embers of the day. There you can hear the night jars much closer. You can hear more crickets. asked Franklin, calling as it climbs into a tree for the night. And the air, which you can't feel, but I'm just going to give you an impression, is cooler. There's a sense of coolth about the air because, of course, as the sun goes down, so the hot air is going to lift out of these depressions and up onto the crest areas. So it just feels closer. And in the morning, this will be much cooler. There'll be lots of moisture over here. Quite a big difference, actually. I'm surprised it's that big, and it'll be even bigger on a higher ridge crest compared with down in here. Very nice. Let's go up towards quarantine now. See what's coming out to avoid being eaten during the night. I do hope that those inkahumas do come down here at some stage. We've been hearing them calling at night, and the Birminghams also, but always at such a distance. No word of the dogs since they left us 2 mornings ago and went into the Manuleti. So I don't know where they are. But such a wonderful sighting you had with the hyenas today. I was waiting for this to be suggested. A number of you are wondering why I don't have a wooden animal and suggesting I get one for my dashboard for good luck. I think I probably will have to at this rate. Brian, do you think that would help?
Possibly.
Possibly not.
Anything will help with this thing.
Yes, I agree. I think we've seen 2 impala and 1 duiker this afternoon. Oh, and 1 or 2 buffalo, of course. Nobody sent through any love for the buffalo on the end of my question. I thought there was going to be an outpouring of love and affection for the old Duggar boys, but no, nothing. A few shout-outs about the buffalo hairdo, says Kirsten, but that's it. Poor old beefies. I suppose it's because we see them all the time. No chameleons, no butterflies in the trees. Look, Brian, there's a dead tree.
Oh, fantastic.
Fascinating, isn't it? Well done. Good job. This one's also dead. That one's so dead it's on the floor. Oh, listen, Brian. Good grief. Stop press, everyone. It's a rain locust, which we only hear every night. I can also hear a Scops owl way in the distance. Broop, broop. Scops owl and rain locust. Brian, our cup runneth over. We have a comment from Pinchy Wyner here who says that he doesn't like the Duggar boys because they destroyed his home. Pinchy, I don't think it was a Duggar boy, I think it was an elephant that destroyed your home. But I take your point. I take your point, Pinchy. Very nice to hear from you from the ether. Tell us what it's like on the other side. Maybe you can be our connection to the other side. Brian, I'm tempted to ask you about the question that James Bear asked me last night about UFOs. Now, you've seen them day and night, have you?
I have indeed.
And when in the night time? Have you seen them out here?
Not out here so much.
Okay.
Only, it's more over cities I found.
All right.
To see them.
Now, I must just reiterate at this point that Brian is not talking about aliens, are you, Brian?
No, in the literal sense, I've seen things flying around up there that I don't know what they are.
So an unidentified flying object. Told you, James. I knew that Brian wouldn't let us down.
I got footage of it, hasn't I?
Yes, you did. Amazing. Right, and now it's getting stuffy and hot again as we go up towards the top of the crest. There's all that hot air from this very dry, dusty day is now starting to come up onto quarantine clearings, where we will have a look at the stars. Pinchy, thank you. Everybody, Pinchy Wine is sending tweets from the other side, and he says that it is wonderful on the other side. Thank you, Pinchy, for letting us know about that. So fear not, everyone. And Pinchy, does it matter how good we are? Will we all go there, or do you have to be particularly good to go where you are? I'd like to meet you one day. We're going to do a little experiment now. We're going to look at this Jupiter just before it gets completely dark, and I wonder if we won't get a slightly better view. There it is, Brian, up there. Now I'm going to get out of the car so that Brian can super zoom into it, because every time I breathe, it makes the car move. So I'll just look at the... That's it there. Yeah, you got it. Any moons? There they are.
Yeah, you can see 4.
You can see 4 moons today, everybody. Look at that.
Okay, hold on, let me make it brighter.
So that's Jupiter. And like I said, I've got out of the car because this, once you've super zoomed all the way in here, even the slightest... Wow! That is fantastic. How many moons can you see there, Brian?
4.
It is 4, hey? 3 on the right and 1 on the left.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Is that full? Is it optical and
No,
digital?
just the
So that's just optical zoom. Now, yesterday, what Dave tried, which was to use a digital zoom, which would take us in further than that, but you did notice how the picture kind of broke up a bit. That is unbelievable. That is the largest planet, of course, in our solar system. And I don't know if any of you have seen pictures of Jupiter. I suspect many of you have. There's a big red spot on it, and I remember this fact from my primary school days. The Earth would fit into that little red spot on Jupiter 4 times. So it is immensely, immensely bigger than the Earth. That is so awesome. I think, Brian, that's probably all there is out here at the moment, except... I wonder what this would look like. Can you see if you... Is that bright star above us possible to do? Or shall I move the car? We're going to have a look at Sirius, everyone. Sirius, of course, is the dog star, the brightest star in the night sky. Brian's just going around to see if he can get up there. It's not easy to see it with your eye and then actually get the lens to face in the same place. Are you catching there? So what should we do? Other angle? Okay. We'll just move back a little bit and see if we can't get a view of Sirius. I can't wait till some of the other planets come into view. Should I change the angle slightly? Will that help? Or the other way? That's going to make it worse. How's that? Good? You get out the car again. No, I think it's up. Yeah, it looks like you've aimed at the right thing. Let's bang in on there. That's the dog star. And there, a pearl-spotted owl calling. Now the dog star is the brightest star in the night sky, not only because it's close-ish to us, but because it is so very massive. And we talked yesterday about red giants and the stars that will eventually, that's amazing, the stars that will eventually form black holes from red giants, and that will be one of them. In millions of years from now, that star there will glow red, like Betelgeuse glows, and then it will die, and it will probably become a black hole. And if you're interested in the physics of that, let me know, and I'll try and explain it to you in simple terms. Can you hear that, Brian?
I did.
Sounds like there's some impala alarm calling. Before we carry on our star talk, let's go across and see if we can't see what those impala alarm calling sounds like. We're around about sort of Galago. Very nice indeed. I'm sure as the other planets start to emerge into the sky, everyone, we're going to have a great time looking at them. And, of course, at the moon, our own satellite. 67 moons, we were informed yesterday, around Jupiter. 50 of them real and 17 of them only provisional. All right, let's head across to Sam, get an update from him. I'll go and see what those impala alarm calling at.
So I'm told that you've just spent some time with Jupiter and the many planets or stars that are around it. That's very, very cool. We, on the other hand, are looking for a leopard. We've got 30 minutes to find your leopard, me and Wiem. Oh, that's a lie, it's not 35, we've only got 23. We can do it. We can do it. We know that shadow was here earlier. So we're just looking for, we're trying to drive as many of the roads as possible. Because the more roads we drive, the better chance we have of finding a leopard. But also we're trying to listen to any alarm calls, monkey alarm calls, squirrel alarm calls before the night ends. But if we don't find leopard, it's not a problem. I don't want to ignore all the other beautiful creatures that are out there. Darlene, I also hope we see Shadow. Not only because I heard that she is a beautiful leopard with a, as you say, a really nice face, but I've never seen her before. The two female leopards I've seen, Karula and Inkanyeni. And Inkanyeni is by far my favorite leopard I've seen so far, just because of its just, she was so beautiful. So utterly beautiful. But I haven't seen a cheetah since I've been here. I know this is not the habitat where you find a cheetah, and cheetahs are generally diurnal animals. So to see a cheetah would be very difficult. So hopefully let's save that for tomorrow. We'll be out nice and early. I'll be on Rusty, so I'll be able to go to Cheetah Plains, see if we can find ourselves a cheetah or an ostrich. Barbara's asking, are there any fireflies here? I haven't seen any fireflies. I know that we do get sometimes. Do you know what time of year that is, Liam? I know that we sometimes get fireflies. Or am I thinking of, sorry, I might be thinking of my time in the Amazon. I was on the Amazon last year and there were fireflies everywhere. A firefly in Brazil is called a vagalume. And I traveled with a group called the Vagalumes down the Amazon River, doing storytelling with children along the banks. So that was the last time I spent with a firefly. There were so many, it was incredible. I'm actually not sure if there are fireflies here. I'd go to sleep on my hammock on the Amazon with fireflies flying everywhere. If I got that name correct, I think it was 5 Min. 5min is asking, what is my favorite? 5min, all right. You're asking, what is my favorite nocturnal animal to see? Do you know, as I say, I don't have anything in specific that I love more than the other, but a pangolin is something that I haven't seen before, and I would really, really like to see a pangolin. Really, really, really like to see a pangolin. Truly. And if not a pangolin, I'd like to see an aardvark. To be honest, I want to see a honey badger, I want to see an aardvark, I want to see a caracal. And you know what? Want is the wrong thing, and I shouldn't create an expectation for it. So one day, on our beautiful travels and traversing on these lands, we'll find those animals. They'll find us, and it will be cool. That's the one thing sometimes you get wrong in the bush is when you want to find something, you're not going to find it. You might as well just go out and enjoy the experience, and what comes will come. I wouldn't mind finding another flap-neck chameleon. I think it was Piggledy from North Hollywood. Piggledy from North Hollywood is asking, do you get any meerkats where you are? No, we don't get meerkats on our traverse. You mainly get meerkats up towards the Karoo, or the northern parts of South Africa, not the northeastern. Ooh, we've got a leopard.
There's a bush, everybody. Isn't that exciting? Fantastic, fantastic look at a gorgeous, gorgeous bush. Ah, that's so special. Well done, Brian. Oh, what's that? Oh. Look, everybody. It's Tingana, I think. Yeah. Oh, wow. Isn't that fantastic? Brian, the universe has heard our call and has brought upon us great and abundant blessings. Oh, he's lovely. There he goes. Our old pal Tingana. This is the great. Okay, I'm going to be quite careful about how much light we put on him. Whoops, we'll put on that much light, at least. Just because there are a whole lot of impala up ahead, and I wonder if he isn't perhaps trying to stalk some of them. I don't mind shining on him from this angle, because... Where is he? Is he there? Because we're kind of backlighting him so the impala wouldn't be able to see him from here. But if we do suddenly turn the lights off, that'll be why. We're just going to keep our distance. Oh, wonderful this is. I'm just going to call it in on the radio, everyone. Isn't that wonderful? He's definitely using that. He's using that bush as cover. I don't feel like we're affecting his hunt at all because we are backlighting him, which won't make any difference. No one will see him. Station's located. Male leopard mobile in a easterly direction across quarantine clearings. Animal is on the hunt. I'm talking so much on the radio that they can't hear me. Now here's where we're going to have to be a little bit careful. There he goes. Stations located. Male leopard mobile east across quarantine clearings. What I want to do, everybody, I just want to go this side of him because I don't want to light him up for the impala. If we go this side of him, we will backlight him and they won't be able to tell the difference. It'll just see the car. The other nice thing about this fancy camera we've got now, everybody.
James, for goodness, can you tell me which mail is that?
I don't know why these things are not on secret comms. It's Tingana.
Okay, man. Good work.
What a stroke of luck. You know, I saw the light from an eye shining across the way, and we were driving along. I said, Brian, what do you think it is? He said he thought it was a leopard. I said I thought it was a duiker. Well, Brian, well done. So what I was saying about this camera is that on the others, it's very difficult for us to drive along with sort of zoomed in at all. On this one, though, it's kind of got a fancy stabilizer, so we can drive and watch him at the same time, sort of, without you getting too seasick. Just a mild nausea, perhaps. Isn't that great? Look at him. The prince. I suppose if Karula is the queen, he must be Prince Philip, not so. I'm not sure he'd appreciate it being compared with Prince Philip. So he's gone to ground now, having a little bit of a groom. I'm going to put the slightly softer light on him, everyone. Oh, there we go. That's much better than the spotlight. What a joy. Well, 2 leopards in one day, it makes up for everything else we haven't seen. One, two, three, 4. And Pamela, you say this is why you are late to work every day. Pamela, I'm sorry about that. I really am. I'm sorry you're late to work. But what can we do? Here's Tingana. Look how perfectly hidden he is there in amongst the silver cluster leaf. Those saplings are hiding him. Now, his view, of course, of the clearings in front of us will be profoundly better than ours. Sorry, I will just have to keep listening to the radio, everyone, because somebody might want to come and see him. And I can't... for some reason, what we call the secret comms are not working, so you might have to listen to them. He's listening very intently, and that one day that we spent 6 hours with Mvula, I tell you, was one of the most informative days of my life with leopards, because it just became so clear how much they hear, how much, or smell. I mean, you can't see if they're smelling something, but you can see if they hear. And their ears are massively, massively important to them. And we watched Mvula catch a monitor lizard, having heard it probably about 30 meters or 100 feet away from him. And he walked straight to it and grabbed it. Nice punch there, Brian.
Thank you.
Good job. There you can see the 4 spots that he's got, just above the whisker line. He's a 4-4 male. He's got 4 on this side and 4 on the other side. And you might be interested, but that silvery grass in front of him is called the sawtooth lovegrass, which bears no relevance to the sighting whatsoever. I just saw it there, so I thought I'd better tell you. I'm going to sneak a little bit forward so we can get a better look at the front of his schnoz. I will change the light once we've stopped. Say when, Brian. I'm going to stop here because, oh, I can see some wildebeest in front of us. He can also see them. He might think about one of the little ones, but I don't think so. Okay, everyone, I'm afraid I'm just going to look where the wildebeest are looking. If they're looking anywhere near this way, I'm afraid I'm going to have to cut the lights. Yeah, there's so much looking there. I'm going to have to pull the light off him slightly. What we'll do is I'll move the light like that. Can you still see him, Brian? I know that's not a great picture, everyone, but what it has done is move the light off him slightly, which means that those wily impala and wildebeest will really struggle to see him, even if they look directly this way. And that's really important. And here's a very, very still night. And there's no moon, so it's a good night for hunting for him. And we saw those males impala. We saw those male impala fighting a little bit earlier around here. That's what we thought the initial alarm calling was. And so he'll have a good chance of killing something here. Sandy, you wondering if he's a normal-sized male lion? Yeah, he is. Not male lion, male leopard. He looks quite big. He's a big-ish male. He's pretty much average size for this area, though. He's probably 75 to 80 kilograms, which is about 180 pounds. And that's pretty normal, Sandy, for this area. Anderson, who's to the west of his territory, is the other male that, well, we long to see. We've seen him once or twice. He's probably a little bit bigger, maybe 90 kilograms, 200 pounds. And Mvula, a little bit off to the east, or well, he's pretty much lost his territory now, I think. Maybe he's still knocking about to the east there. I'd say he's probably about 10 kilos lighter, 70 kilos, maybe 75. And he's just lying here surveying his domain. So I was saying, there's no wind at all, so that's not ideal for hunting, but there is no moon. And when these lights go down, it will be perfect hunting conditions for him. And if you haven't done so already, please go and check out that incredible BBC production, The Hunt. And what you see, and I think it's the second or third episode, where they hunt through the forests. What you see is the movement of a cat's foot on the vegetation, how incredibly careful they are about where they place each footstep. So he will walk across this clearing being completely cognizant of anything that might give away his position, such as a crunching leaf or a breaking twig. Look, he's heard the impala. He's heard the impala, and the impala are rutting, and he knows that they're not concentrating on him. I'm just going to let him go. Sorry, everybody, I have to. I will backlight him. Sorry, everybody. That's just the way it goes, I'm afraid. We're just there. You can just maybe make out his shape. There we go. We're going to follow him. As soon as he heard the clashing of impala's horns, he knew that they weren't thinking about him, that they weren't thinking about anything other than each other. Okay, I'm going to stop here, I'm afraid. Sorry, Brian. That's about all we can do, hey? Is that okay? I know that's not the best picture, everyone, but I just don't want to affect his hunt. If he moves now, it will be very blurry, right, Brian? Yeah. So we've got basically the same camera settings as we have for the stars. So if he does move now, it will be blurry, but that's okay. it does mean that there's almost no light on him whatsoever. Isn't that amazing how he heard that of the impala's horns smashing together, and he thought, nah, I know what you guys are thinking about, and it ain't me. Now he will wait. Did you see how he looked a little bit blurry as he lay down there? This is what a leopard does best, a waiting game. I can just see him with my bare eyes, but hardly. All around us, the crickets are singing, the night is still, and for the prey items on this clearing, the wildebeest and the impala, perhaps the old zebra, they have no idea what's lying here in amongst the silver cluster leaf saplings. It's actually quite a nice picture. Just imagine now, everyone, that you are an impala and you are going into the night. Your night vision is better than ours, so you'd probably, if you look directly at that animal, that's probably the view you'd get. Because you're used to the area, you would know that that shape meant trouble. But he's so well hidden behind that silvery love grass and the annual flowers there that I don't think even if they looked directly this way they'd see him. I can see a few off to the right-hand side, just moving off towards the south, not running, just moving to where it's clear. And those look like females to me. And we did see a big herd of rutting males earlier. I just think it's fascinating. You know, you read in the books that a leopard and a lion and all of the other predators will go for rutting males. And we've seen it. We know that Shadow and Karula have killed rutting males before. And he reacted immediately. Cat in Tampa, you say, stars and spots forever. Indeed, stars and spots forever with this new camera. We wouldn't be looking at this leopard like this with the old one. We'll just sit here. We're not going to move unless he moves. And with any luck, I know we've only got about a minute and a half left with you. We might only find him tomorrow, sitting in one of these jackalberry or marula trees on quarantine with a male impala. Now, eventually, of course, we will be able to view a hunt like this completely without affecting it. We'll have a long lens and a full night vision camera. But at that stage, we're not quite there. We could use infrared. It just looks so horrible, though. You can't see the magnificent colors. We'll just sit here. We've only got a minute left or so. So while Tingana sits there and hunts into the night, I'm going to say goodbye to you. Big thank you to all of you for joining us on what was quite another quiet drive. Thank you for talking to us. Wonderful that Sam had so much great stuff today. I think it's been a real confidence booster for him, so thanks for that. Big thank you to Brian. Thank you, well done, Brian. Big thank you to Sam, of course, who is not going to close because we've been looking at Tingana. And, of course, he was being filmed by Viam. Thanks to Kirsten and Louise in the final control. We will see you all tomorrow as the dawn breaks in Africa here at 6 o'clock. Until then, keep safe and happy. Bye-bye.